tube venturers, and welcome back to my channel. In this episode, Benita and I take a trip across the Cotswolds and Wye Valley. Our first stop is Broughton Castle, which is a moated and fortified manor house near Banbury in North Oxfordshire. The core of the house was built in 1306 and the gatehouse in the early 15th century, but most of what you see today dates back from 1550s. The next leg of our adventure takes us to the Rollright Stones, which is found on the border between Oxfordshire and Warwickshire. This complex of megalithic monuments span nearly 2,000 years of Neolithic and Bronze Age development, and each site dates from a different period. The oldest, the Whispering Knight Dolmen, is early Neolithic, circa 3,800 to 3,500 BC. The King's Men stone circle is late Neolithic, circa 2500 BC, and the King's Stone is early to Middle Bronze Age, circa 1500 BC. The stones are made of a natural boulder of Jurassic Oolitic limestone, which forms the bulk of the Cotswold Hills. plan was to next visit Chastleton House, but upon arrival I discovered they were closed. But hey ho, this is all part of the adventure, so back on the road and time to find some lunch, but not before enjoying some incredible vistas. After a delicious burger at the local pub, it was time to continue the adventure and head towards Hales Abbey. Hales Abbey is a former Cistercian abbey founded in 1246 as a daughter establishment of the Beaulieu Abbey. The abbey was dissolved by Henry VIII in 1539. Little remains of the abbey. It is a Grade 1 listed building and scheduled monument. Hales Abbey became a site of pilgrimage after the Duke of Cornwall's son Edmund donated to the Cistercian community a phial of holy blood, purchased in Germany in 1270. Such a relic of the crucifixion was a considerable magnet for pilgrimage. From the proceeds, the monks of Hales were able to rebuild the abbey on a magnificent scale. My next stop took me just down the road to Studley Castle. The building of Studley Castle began in 1443 for Ralph Boteler, the Lord High Treasurer of England. It was later seized by the Crown and became the property of King Edward IV and King Richard III, who built its famous banqueting hall. It also became the home and final resting place of Henry VIII's sixth wife, Catherine Parr, making Studley the only privately owned castle in the world to have a Queen of England buried in its grounds. After an incredible day of riding filled with fascinating history, breathtaking vistas and scenery, it was time to head for my home for the evening, the Oakwood Hotel. This is the view from the front of the hotel. Day 2 and a fresh start to the adventure, but first we need to get some breakfast. The first site on the agenda was Goodrich Castle, but I decided to first do a little detour through Ross on Wye. on my right we can see the beautifully preserved Ross on Wye market house. Goodrich Castle is a Norman medieval castle ruin which was probably built by Gordic of Mapperstone after the Norman invasion of England. It was initially an earth and wooden fortification. In the middle of the 12th century, the original castle was replaced with a stone keep, and then expanded significantly during the 13th century into a concentric structure combining luxurious living quarters with extensive defences. Finding a legend by travelling to King Arthur's cave, only to find out that it had nothing to do with King Arthur at all. The cave is a limestone cave at the foot of the low cliff of the northwestern end of the Lord's Wood in the Doward. To the cave lies about 285 feet above the River Wye on a hill, with a double interconnected entrance and two main chambers. It is protected as a nature reserve under the Herefordshire Nature Trust. There is evidence that the cave was occupied by man during the Upper Paleolithic era, and flint tools and woolly mammoth bones have been unearthed within and around the caves. Cutting across the lovely countryside and taking some dirt roads to get to Clearwell Caves. Formed roughly 180 million years ago during the Jurassic period, Clearwell Caves are part of a network of more than 1,000 acres of iron-rich limestone caves beneath the Forest of Dean in West Gloucestershire. The subterranean caverns, known to miners as galleries, have been mined for their plentiful deposits of iron ore and natural ochre pigments for over 4,500 years and are still operational on a small scale today. Clearwell Caves are a family-run free mine and are the only underground iron mines open to the public in Britain. Having welcomed visitors since 1968, they now have a diverse program of events including live music, theatre performances and art exhibits. On my visit, the Gallery Pangolin, who specialise in sculpture, were holding a major exhibit of 47 international artists. 60 sculptures were uniquely seated throughout the 10 caverns to form this fantastic display. Back on the road again, I follow the River Wye with its breathtaking backdrop to my next destination, Tintern. Tintern Abbey, or Abbati Tindern in Welsh, was founded in 1131 by Walter de Clare, Lord of Chepstow. It is situated on the Welsh bank of the River Wye, which in this location forms the border between Wales and England. It was the first Cistercian foundation in Wales and only the second in Britain after Waverley Abbey. With the weather closing in and a long ride home, I have time for one more stop in Chepstow to see Chepstow Castle. Chepstow Castle is the oldest surviving post-Roman stone fortification in Britain. Located above the cliffs of the River Wye, construction began in 1067 under the instruction of the Norman Lord William Fitz-Osbern. So that's it for this adventure. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and until our next adventure, ride safe.